Terry had just asked me if I have new ahas whenever I go through this. And I was going to tell her about my state fair experience, which I know I saw on social media that you saw that.
Yes, I did.
So I went to the state fair on Sunday, first time in 20 years and like over 20 years. And I knew like everything there is fried, deep fried and everything, but I also knew you could bring in your own food. And so like before I went, I made sure and had like a really well balanced, lots of protein with breakfast and lunch. And then I had meat sticks in my purse as well. So it was like, I'm prepared, I'm not going to be hungry. And as I'm sitting there with my friend, we went and watched the dog show. And she was like, so you're really not going to eat any of the state fair foods? And she has a state fair pass. So like she lives in South Dallas anyways. So she's going like multiple times a week.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't think so. And she was like, you don't even want to try? Like, I think you would really like this. And then it dawned on me. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing the elimination to figure out what I'm sensitive to. Like at this point, I've got that pretty dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, choose it consciously, enjoy it thoroughly, let it go. And it was awesome. So we split one of the things, it's called hot chick in pancakes.
Wow.
And it was so good. I mean, it was like hot chicken, like the Nashville hot chicken chopped up
Uh-huh.
and mixed with pimento cheese and then wrapped in pancake batter and then deep fried. Like nothing healthy whatsoever about that.
Right. Sure.
But like we split one of those and it was delicious. And then she really wanted a fried Oreo. And I was like, well, I know I had a fried Oreo the last time I was here, but again, 20 years ago, like,
Yeah. Mm.
okay, yeah, choose it consciously, enjoy it, feel no guilt or shame.
Um,
And then I decide like I'm going to take this whole no guilt or shame to the next level and actually share this on social media as well. And explain like that whole thought process. So yeah, it was liberating to realize that that's the aha I walked away with this time. And thankfully, I mean, I am broken out right now, but that was before the fair. Like I haven't noticed anything. I had no GI issues or anything with it. I did make sure and take extra digestive enzymes with each one of them too, just to help my body break it down. But thankfully, no aches or pains or anything like that. And
awesome.
like if I go to the fair once every 20 years, I think it's okay if I have a random fried
Yeah.
ball of crap.
No, that's awesome. And like that's I think been my one of my big takeaways is it's like, I want to stay true to this 21 days so that I do get to learn my sensitivities and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I just want to be able to continue this and live because now my gut is finally feeling much better. I've got my sleep back, all of that. So yeah, I'd rather live this way and have moments where I'm like, yeah, no, I've decided I'm going to have a piece of pizza or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of going, well, I can't possibly maintain.
Yeah. I'm going to text one person and see if she's joining tonight because there's just one person we're missing. Tons of people have to miss this week.
Well, I haven't eaten anything unhealthy, but my body still doesn't like me. So, it's struggling.
How do you feel like stress wise? I know that being
I've just kind of
good. She's
got my stress down really low because after my bad vertigo flare up last week where it triggered my spinning attacks that I haven't had in 4.5 years, I was like, oh God, this is not good.
Yeah.
So something flared it back up. And so I have just been chill. If I have to lay down the whole day, if I have to do whatever to just be chill, I've let a lot of stuff go, not worry about, debt, or just really been key on the stress management, meditation, everything, but it's still something haywire that my body just does not like.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I think in in the messaging back and forth, you mentioned something about subconscious mind kicks in, you know, and then that causes more anxiety and stress. And it's so hard to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Yeah, that's my big thing, because my body will literally, when I have my vertigo attacks, go into a panic attack. Like I will literally, my heart will start racing. I'll be sweaty, even if I myself think that I am calm in general, like I'm not afraid of, body just subconsciously will freak out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to get better. I promise.
I'm holding on to hope.
Yes, please do. And at some point, actually with Ileana on here, I have a mindset coach that I would recommend who helps you reprogram your subconscious mind. So at some point, I'll give you
Yeah,
her
that would be good.
info, because I think that would really help you.
And I
So,
think it's a lot of like the pregnancy and autoimmune stuff. And I know that I don't specifically know if I have lupus, but they
yeah.
thought that. And the prolactin in your milk for nursing will sometimes mess with the lupus and cause it to make it worse.
Yeah.
Have that. So something else I also learned. So I don't know. It's a lot
Yeah.
that's kind of going on, and my body's like, we're weak already, and then you're trying to nurse another baby and keep it alive, and so it's like it's struggling.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great despite all of that.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah. Hey, Ileana, so glad you could join. Welcome
Hey.
to the PM class.
Sorry, I joined a little bit late. It's been running around all day.
No worries.
So,
No worries. I was just about to text you and then I saw you jump on. So it's going to be a small group tonight. It's just the 4 of us. So before I dive in, any questions, anything people want to talk about
I
the,
may mute myself because I'm in the kind of dinner routine. I
Yeah.
make some cauliflower mash and a healthy meatloaf. So working on that.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
the only thing, and I kind of told you a little bit about it last time we talked. I hurt my back, not
Yeah.
this Saturday, but the
I'm
one
not feeling any
before.
better.
I am not. I mean, I get a little better, and then again, I started going back to the gym, and I think that is messing with everything
Yeah.
because I'm not feeling well, and I'm frustrated and concerned, and I'm going to see Lance. I don't know if Kathy ever mentioned Lance to you.
Mm-mm.
He used to be a chiropractor, and now he does something kind of resembles chiropractic, but without the popping and it's much gentle,
Uh-huh.
and it has helped. Because my main problem, and I don't know why, is like all my core, my muscles get like super tight. I'm like guarded all the time. And so, especially now because I'm hurting, then it's like I can't relax. And so I'm exhausted. Like even when I'm sleeping, my muscles are tight.
Yeah.
And I was really hard trying to do everything natural, but I just went to the pharmacy and pick up some muscle relaxer and see if tonight I can get some rest because I'm exhausted.
Yeah. At some point, sleep has to be the priority. And if medication is the way to do that.
Well, and I also think that because of the way I'm reacting to all of this, that I'm just like tense.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I'm gonna get better until I find a way to relax those muscles and let them heal. Because I'm just not, like I'm just not giving it the rest that it needs. So,
Yeah.
and I'm pissed because I'm trying to detox, and now I'm putting all these awful toxins in. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna have to extend my 21 days for another 2 weeks or something.
I mean, our bodies are so amazing though. And so just even the health that comes from sleep will help kind of counterbalance that and you'll bounce back. But I just wrote down a note as well to bring you some essential oils when I see you on Friday to see if
Okay,
this can help you as well.
that will be fabulous.
Yeah. I'm sad to hear though that you're not already just feeling amazing.
Yeah, I'm not. And it's a bummer because I'm not being able to really gauge what the diet is doing because I'm in pain. And,
Right.
it's like, and to be honest with you, I think I'm eating too much food. It's good food, but I think I'm eating too much food. I have not lost any weight whatsoever.
Mhm.
So that's something else that I have to maybe, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are. I know I asked about portions, and my problem is at night. After dinner, I'm always like wanting to munch on something while I'm watching TV or reading or whatever it is that I'm doing to
Yeah.
wind down.
I have
So
a feeling, I know you don't eat breakfast or eat very much for breakfast.
I don't. I don't. I normally just have a cup of coffee and I don't eat anything until lunch. Every now and then, if I get a little hungry mid-morning, I might have a soft-boiled egg. But
Mhm.
other than that, I normally just have a coffee and eat like at noon.
I would be interested to see if you had even 2 soft-boiled eggs for breakfast, how that would impact hunger later on. Because
I can try. I feel that when I eat breakfast, then I'm eating all day. Like I'm like, oh, okay, it's food day. Let's just eat. So
yeah,
I don't know.
so part of that could be because you tell yourself that, then it is true, right? Because our mind determines our future or determines
Yeah,
our
yeah.
life.
It could
But
very well be.
but a lot of times when people are hungry, specifically at night, it's because they're not eating enough protein in the morning. And therefore,
Okay.
like that's why most overeating happens at night as well. And so I just read a statistic today. Let me see if I still have this pulled up. Um, about the health of food as you go through the day. Let me see if I can find it quickly.
Yeah, I know I do it kind of backwards. I don't eat enough in the morning and then I eat more at night,
Yeah.
where it should be the opposite.
50%, 31%. Oh, where was it? It was fascinating because it was like for every hour that you're awake, like the longer you're awake, the worse you'll eat. Oh, here
Oh,
it is.
really?
Okay. Let me pull this over to my other screen so it's a little bit closer.
I know I have to eat like all the time. I'm like terrified if I don't eat because it will trigger my attacks severely. Like I'll literally just fall over.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I eat a very good breakfast and I have to make sure I have lunch very good and a snack in between and dinner. If I don't, sometimes even maybe a small like nuts or something before bed.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it's all over, game over for me.
Yeah. Well, and the
See, I
fact
don't I don't have a good excuse. Just eating 'cause I'm eating.
so here, this is from a study in 2014, but they found that healthiness of the food we eat decreases by 1.7% for every hour that passes in the day, meaning that people that generally eat healthiest are breakfast and will most likely eat unhealthy food later in the day. And so if you
Hmm.
can start by eating a healthy, well-balanced breakfast, it sets you up the rest of the day to not eat as much. And even I can't remember, I think we got into this in the evening class last time, so you weren't there for this, but with intermittent fasting, the people who do that, you really should, if you were to do intermittent fasting, you should do it during the hours that the sun is up. And so eat breakfast, skip dinner would be the ideal way to do intermittent fasting if you were to do that. And again, it ties into just hunger cues and stuff like that. And if you can get that well-balanced breakfast in, it helps everything else. So
Okay.
worth trying out,
Yep.
right? All of this is just a big experience.
That's nice of them.
Yeah.
I'm doing that meeting, but they can't hear me right now.
Oh, Desiree, you're actually
I'm here.
not on mute.
Sorry.
No worries.
I
just
was like, they can't hear me. They can't hear me. I'm not on mute.
that's what I heard you say. I was like, well, we should probably tell her we can.
Surprise.
Right.
Don't talk about us.
Right.
All right, can y'all see my screen? Reduce
Yes.
it? Awesome. And now you can see it change to the agenda?
Yep.
Okay, so we just have 4 things on the agenda, but we're gonna go pretty deep in all of these. If you haven't already, go ahead and download the PDF for tonight as well, because you might want to take some notes on that. It's got a lot of good information in there. But we're going to first talk about how inflammation works in the body. Then we're going to talk about 3 different types of fats and help you understand the importance of all the different fats, the important roles of fats, you might say. Then we'll talk about cholesterol and do a little deep dive on cholesterol. And then we'll end with talking about how to read labels and really identify things on labels that are inflammatory versus not. And just the weirdness of advertising and what's allowed on food labels and in advertising in the US as well. So let's talk about inflammation. Pop quiz. Is inflammation good for you? What do y'all think?
Only when your body needs to heal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
there's a purpose.
sometimes.
Yes. Y'all are so smart. So yeah, it's a yes, no, because sometimes it is. So this is all because of prostaglandins, and prostaglandins in our body, they manage our inflammation system. And these are hormone-like substances that the body cannot live without. They are naturally, they are in nearly all body tissue and fluid, and there's 3 different types. And so the first one is PG1, and this comes from omega-6 fatty acids, and PG1s are anti-inflammatory. Then there's PG2s, and these come from saturated fatty acids, and they are inflammatory. And then PG3s come from omega-3 fatty acids, and they are anti-inflammatory. So 1 and 3 are anti-inflammatory. PG2 is inflammatory. And the way a healthy body works is you get exposed to a cut on your hand, or you get exposed to a virus, and PG2, the inflammatory prostaglandin, like, why is my mind going blank all of a sudden? The inflammatory prostaglandin, PG2, comes in and inflames it. So like if we're talking about the cut in the hand, the reason why it gets all hot around there and even there's pain there, it's actually your body's immune system reacting, heating it up to try to kill off any pathogens that might come in through the cut. Same with the virus. The virus gives your body a temperature. The temperature is there to try to heat up the body enough to kill off the virus. And we want it to do that. A lot of times in American society, we, like any sign of a temperature, we're reaching for something to try to cut the temperature. But really the temperature's there for our health. And as long as it's not unbearable or super high temperature that goes on for days, you do actually want to have the temperature. It will help your body heal faster and more effectively. So once it goes through that heat and killing off pathogens or killing off viruses, then the PG1 and PG3 come in and they anti-inflame. So they remove the fever, they remove the heat and the pain from the hand. Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's like the natural cycle that should be happening. But we have all kinds of issues with inflammation. So one of them, one of the things that is key to having a healthy anti-inflammatory system is having proper balance. So a proper balance of omega-3s to omega-6s should be 1-to-1. But in US society today, it's generally 1-to-20. So we're way off on where it should be. This is primarily due to the standard American diet. So the standard American diet is filled with omega-6s. So this is all the vegetable, canola oil, corn oil, all of those inflammatory oils that are in every packaged processed food and that almost every restaurant is using. Those are all omega-6s, and they're causing inflammation in our body because we're not getting enough omega-3s. So we really should be getting equal amounts of omega-6s and omega-3s. one of the simple things you could do is take like a good quality fish oil supplement, and that will start to balance things out. But ideally, if you can reduce the inflammatory omega-6s, increase the omega-3s, you're going to notice your inflammation levels balance out as well. And it says, when you consume a balance of healthy fats and remove toxins like sugar, chemicals, and foods that you are sensitive to, you'll notice a major decrease in discomfort, swelling, pains in the joints, and pains throughout your body. So another reason that we have a major issue with inflammation in the US is because we overuse anti-inflammatory drugs. So this is like the aspirin or the Tylenol, Advil, even steroids, things like that. So all of those, when we take them, they shut down the body's ability to inflame naturally and then anti-inflame naturally. And so we're messing with that cycle. And the more we do that, the harder it is for the body to learn how to inflame and anti-inflame. And it's so interesting because for me personally, I was diagnosed with migraines when I was 6. And then at age 27, I was diagnosed with a spine disease and told that the spine disease were why I had the migraines. And so I literally, up until about 10 years ago now, I had headaches multiple times a week, migraines at least once a week. And so I basically lived off of Advil for, 30 plus years. And it's shocking to me now that, and so my tolerance was way up on it too, on how much I could take. I had to take more and more to be able to manage pain. And now these days, I generally don't need any type of medication. If I have aches and pains, I can just use essential oils. Every now and then I do, and I generally need one, and it will take care of me the rest of the day because my body's inflammatory system is now working much better than when it was so dependent on these medications. Any questions on that before we move on to fat?
That's interesting you say that. I was gonna say something about mine is migraines run in my family. And one of the things that my sister and mom said was vestibular migraines, because I get the dizziness and the vertigo.
Oh, interesting.
So I've never really it could, like the Meniere's disease could be just a misdiagnosis for the something is like vestibular migraines, and then somehow autoimmunity ties into that, and it's like a combination of things that affect.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, but also things get misdiagnosed all the time. So, I had all of those migraines. Then at 27, I was told I have a spine disease, which I guess I was told I do have a spine disease. I literally have tumors in my spine, but I was told that that's why I get these migraines. And then they just put me on more medication that numbed everything for a few years. And then when I started switching over to more natural stuff, I didn't even connect the dots until literally like 2 years ago, but I really think my migraines were tied to Diet Coke because when I was 6, my family moved to Europe and my mom was very much into low fat everything. And it was cheaper for us to drink Diet Coke than it was to drink juice. And so that's when I started drinking Diet Coke. And in my mom's mind, Diet Coke was healthier for us because it was less calories than juice as well. And then I definitely was addicted to Diet Coke and drank Diet Coke all the way up until, again, like 10 years ago. And like
That makes sense.
forever to connect those dots. But now I really think that's what caused my migraines.
I never was big on soda, thankfully. I never drank it, and I don't to this day, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, and I'm not saying that it would be Diet Coke for you because everybody's body is different, but it could be a random food activity like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Or it could be something totally different,
Yeah, it could be. You never know. I've discovered that I have really no idea what's going on with my body, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so 3 types of fat. So I'm gonna talk through these 3 different types of fat, but I want y'all to know that all of like any type of food item that has fat in it truly is kind of a combination of these. So think of this as almost like a sliding scale as I go through them. So saturated fat is the first one. This is the best fat for cooking. It's super stable. It does not go rancid easily, and it's solid or semi-solid at room temperature. So like think about butter. Butter is the saturated fat, primarily saturated fat. And butter at room temperature, it's pretty solid, right? Put it in the fridge and it's really hard, but it also can melt and become a liquid. So that's the easiest way to know if something is saturated fat, is to think about like the solidness at room temperature. This is primarily found in animal fats and then also in topical oils. And it is non-essential, meaning we don't have to eat saturated fats. Our body doesn't need it to live, but you will have nutritional deficiencies if you don't eat it. So you do want saturated fats. Next up is monounsaturated fats. And these are great for low heat cooking or for drizzling over food. These are actually like some of my favorite ones to use for like homemade salad dressings, that type of thing. And so they're relatively stable, meaning they don't go bad quickly. They are liquid at room temperature. And again, they're non-essential. So we don't need them, but you do want them. And then polyunsaturated. So these should not ever be heated or cooked with. They also shouldn't be exposed to light. They go rancid really easily. They always are liquid. They should be refrigerated as well. And in this category, there are two that are essential. So we have to actually get these through our food in order to live. And that's omega-3s and omega-6s. We do need those in order to live. So based on that information, we're going to do a little matching game. So what do y'all think bacon grease is? Is it saturated, monounsaturated, or polyunsaturated?
Saturated.
Yes. And how did you come up with that?
It's animal. And
And it's solid
turns
when it's
out.
cold.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, what about fish oil?
Poly.
I don't know what fish oil looks like at natural temperature, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that is where like the animal part is like, huh, is that right? But Terry's right. It's actually polyunsaturated. So fish oil is super sensitive to light and heat. Some would say sushi is better for you than cooked fish because of this as well. But you know, that's kind of personal preference. The interesting thing with fish oil, you know, it normally comes in capsules if you're just taking fish oil. The #1 selling fish oil in the US used to be Kirkland's brand, so the one that they sold at Costco, and it came in a clear bottle. And so fish oil, most people take fish oil to reduce inflammation, but since it's polyunsaturated and shouldn't be exposed to light, it literally was rancid and inflammatory before you ever left the store. And then people are taking it and getting more inflamed, you know, and probably not connecting that it's the supplement that they're taking that's causing it. So if you want to take fish oil supplements, I highly recommend them. So omega-3 supplements is what they're referred to as well sometimes. You want to get them from a company that actually manages them and takes care of them in a totally dark facility and uses like night goggles to be able to manage them. And so it takes a little bit of digging, but there's a few companies out there that do that and do a really good job with that. I know Terry uses doTERRA, the brand new omegas from doTERRA. They actually have wild orange oil added to them, and that's what protects them from being impacted by light and heat, which is interesting too.
Yeah.
So next up, oops, I went too fast, olive oil.
I think we're all gonna get that one.
Yeah, monounsaturated. Yeah, so this one's normally an aha for people too, because olive oil, while it is super healthy for us, it should not be used for higher temperatures. So like you should never bake with olive oil. If you're cooking stovetop, it shouldn't be at the highest heat, it should be low heat. And most olive oil actually does best if you drizzle it on top of your food after you cook with it. So cook with a different oil and then use the olive oil afterwards on top of it. That's how you'll get the most health benefits out of it. What about coconut oil?
Saturated.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. So coconut oil, awesome to cook anything in. Walnut oil.
Mono.
It's actually polyunsaturated.
Okay.
So I didn't say this before, but all of the nut and seed oils also fall under polyunsaturated.
Okay.
So again,
Yeah, I used to do a walnut oil supplement, and I just, you can't, like you're saying, it's hard to find one, but
uh-huh.
I always appreciated how good that was.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, you can get walnut oil like at the grocery. So Sprouts sells walnut oil, but they sell it in both the supplement section as well
And the
as the
refrigerator.
cooking oil. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What about avocado oil?
I think it's poly then.
It's actually monounsaturated. And the interesting thing with avocado oil is, again, because everything's kind of a blend of these, it's got more saturated oil in it than olive oil. And so for that reason, if you are cooking and like cooking stovetop or baking, avocado oil is going to be a better option for you versus olive oil because it can withstand higher heat than olive oil. So like cooking spray, we use the avocado oil cooking spray that they sell at Costco. What about butter?
Because I always use olive oil to do my roasted vegetables in the oven. I never even thought that it
Yeah,
gets heated hotter in the oven. But I did get the spray olive oil. That's what the avocado oil. That's what I'm using right now.
good. Yeah. Yeah, switch to the avocado oil. It will do better for you.
Butter is saturated.
Yep, butter is saturated. Excellent. And then flaxseed oil.
Poly.
Yep, nuts and seeds are poly. So sesame seed oil.
Poly.
Yep. Ghee.
Saturated.
Yes. Canola.
Saturated.
No.
Huh.
Most of us don't even know what a canola plant is, right? I don't I don't know what
I
it
don't.
is. But it's actually polyunsaturated, which is super frustrating because this is like the main thing that foods are cooked in at
Yeah,
restaurants.
that's
Yeah,
why I say saturated, because that's what
wishful
they
thinking.
put on everything. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really cheap, and so they're going to use that. It also has a high smoke point. So peanut oil isn't on the list, but peanut oil is used a lot in restaurants as well because it has like one of the highest smoke points, but smoke point has nothing to do with inflammation. And so sure, it's not going to make your kitchen all smoky when you're cooking with it, but it is going to cause inflammation. So you should never cook with canola or peanut oil or any of those. What about lard?
Saturated.
Correct. And then last one, vegetable oil.
I feel like this is a trick question.
Walk us through that.
I think the biggest problem with vegetable oil is that who knows what's in it, right? Depending on who's making it, it might be canola or corn or palm oil or whatever. So you have a combination of the worst oils in vegetable oil. So it sounds really healthy, but it really isn't. So I'm gonna say polyunsaturated.
Yes, and
I'm
you're
just,
perfect.
okay.
Yeah, it's polyunsaturated. So vegetable oil, like there's really no redeeming qualities about vegetable oil. Just avoid it. The other interesting thing with vegetable oil and canola as well is in the processing of it. So manufacturers, they take, these vegetables and basically press them to get the oil out. But then the oil has a really funky smell and it has a really gross looking color. And so they do stuff like add bleach to it to remove the smell and remove the color. And they just like do all of this stuff where at some point your body doesn't even know that it's food. And then that causes all kinds of havoc as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about each one of these. So saturated fatty acids, they come from grass-fed pasture-raised animals. At least the best quality is going to come from grass-fed pasture-raised animals or tropical oils. And that should probably say tropical plants like the coconut. And they are the preferred fuel for the heart and the brain, which is interesting too. Like so many people think that saturated fats are what cause heart attacks, but that's not true at all. There's no science to back that up. There was one guy named Ansel Keys, and I want to say like the 60s, maybe the 70s, who basically had a hypothesis, told a bunch of people, and then had a huge ego. And so when the data came back and said he was wrong, he cherry picked the data and then took that and just showed the cherry picked data. And that's where we get all the misinformation about saturated fat. It's all comes down to one guy. And I'm really shocked that nobody's made like a documentary or a Netflix movie about him, because I think it would be kind of fascinating. He apparently was very engaging and like a good showman, but like horrible character, and has led to all kinds of issues. So yeah, saturated fat is the best for the heart and the brain. But also it's important to know that when you combine saturated fat with processed starches and or sugar, that's when it can become dangerous. So that's when it leads to inflammation, weight gain, diabetes, dementia, and heart disease. So an example of this would be if you had like a really nice juicy steak and it's cooked in butter, so it's cooked in the right oil, and you have a baked potato next to it, so you've got starchy carbs, but it's not processed starch. You got some butter on top of that as well, and then maybe you have some broccoli and a salad. All of that combined, awesome, not going to cause inflammation. But if you were to trade the baked potato for a piece of bread and then put butter on that, that processed starch, being the bread, because there's processing that goes into that, mixed with the butter and mixed with all the other saturated fat in that meal, would cause inflammation. And I'm not saying give up bread forever unless your body reacts to bread, but it is important to like realize that. And so anytime you can reach for the more natural, holistic, unprocessed, the better. And then like another really obvious example is cookies, which are made out of flour that's been processed, and then butter and sugar. Like it's just the perfect storm of something that's going to cause inflammation, weight gain, diabetes, dementia, and heart disease. Okay, so next up is monounsaturated fatty acids. So a lot of the Mediterranean diet is focused on monounsaturated fats, and specifically like the olives and the olive oil and all of that. But the interesting thing to know about this is that it's become so popular because it's promoted by the Mediterranean countries' tourism and also olive companies. And so it's still a good diet and a lot of people can benefit from it, but there's no one diet that fits everybody. So any of that is hearsay. But it's always important to realize why something is popular and that maybe somebody's making money off of it, like tourism for all of these Mediterranean countries. And then polyunsaturated fatty acids. So interestingly enough, when you go to the grocery store, these are the ones that typically have the Heart Healthy emblem on it from the American Heart Association. The American Heart Association, when they're asked about this, they say anybody who donates enough money gets that. It doesn't mean that the product is heart healthy, which is super frustrating because most people don't know that and assume if it says heart healthy on it, then it must be healthy for the heart, not thank you for giving us a ton of money, but that's actually what it means. And then the other thing with polyunsaturated fats is that the grocery stores do sell most of them in those clear plastic bottles that are letting in bright light.
What?
They're generally
Oh,
not.
I didn't know you were still here. It's only 15 minutes.
Ileana, you're not on mute.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so the other thing with them is, let's see, where was I? Even worse, because they are the cheapest fats available, they're the most often used in restaurants and packaged foods. So polyunsaturated fats, remember, they do have omega-3s and omega-6s in there, so we do need those. We're gonna have some balloons come up about it.
Yay.
But you want to be picky about it, about how you're getting them. So therefore, they are often toxic when consumed and cause free radicals in the body, which leads to inflammation and disease. So questions on that? Okay. So when the low-fat, low-cholesterol diet was first officially recommended to the public by the American Heart Association in 1961, roughly 1 out of 7 US adults were obese. Any guesses what that ratio is today? 1 out of blank US adults?
1 out of 3.
Close. Yeah, it's 1 out of 2.5. So like,
That's
isn't
so
that
sad.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that not that long, in like approximately 60 years, we've gone from 1 out of 7 to 1 out of 2.5. And again, this, like, the American Heart Association also needs a documentary or a Netflix special made about it, because we, as so many people, give money to it thinking that they're doing research on heart health, and they are one of the main culprits that are causing obesity across the US with the misinformation and the heart healthy emblem on their foods. It's really interesting as well. If you ever look at pictures from the 1960s, like just pictures of society, so like people walking on the streets of New York City, or everybody at a beach in 1960, or even spaceship launches, when a whole bunch of people, just different people from different parts of society coming together, you rarely ever see anybody obese in those pictures. And obviously today we go anywhere and we're going to see obese people. So the main cause of obesity in the US is not due to lack of willpower, although that's generally what is told to people. It's actually due to lack of food quality and miseducation on food quality. So let's talk about the benefits of fat. Hopefully at this point, you guys know, eat fat, it's good for you. But be picky about how you eat your fat. But important things to know about it. First of all, it provides a great source of energy. It also acts as the building blocks for cell membrane and hormones. It's needed to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. So that's vitamin A, D, E, and K. If you're taking those vitamins and you're not taking them with some type of fat, then your body's not able to utilize them. It also builds cholesterol and bile in the body, meaning it helps your gallbladder work, it helps you break down fats in your body. It serves as a protective lining for your organs. It helps regulate energy by slowing down the absorption of food. It also manages inflammation in the body. It increases feelings of fullness. And for the most part, it makes food taste good. So why wouldn't you want it? Here are some signs that you don't have enough healthy fats in your diet. So you have an unhealthy body weight, either you weigh too much or you weigh too little. That happens when you don't have a good balance of fats. Dry, scaly skin, that's a big one. Hair loss as well. Intolerance to heat or cold, bruising easily, sunburn easily, poor wound healing, stunted growth, lower resistance to infection, and loss of menstruation. For me personally, the sunburn easily. Once I moved to Texas, I started burning easily. But once I really honed in on what fats I was eating, at this point, I rarely ever use any type of sun protection, and I haven't had a sunburn. I think I've had one sunburn in like the last 3 years, and I rarely use sun protection. So what we're putting in our body protects us a lot more than slathering your body with a whole bunch of chemicals. And I mean, even the natural sunscreen what you put inside is going to be more effective. Okay, so any questions about fats before we switch to cholesterol?
Yep.
Okay. So cholesterol. So cholesterol is a healing agent in the body. When you have high cholesterol levels, it means that the body is dealing with some type of damage. And in traditional medicine, when they see high cholesterol, they give you medication to reduce it. Whereas functional medicine, which functional nutrition falls under this umbrella, we try to identify the root cause of the damage and then address that. And then your cholesterol numbers will naturally balance out. So different approaches. Also, a lot of times in traditional medicine, a doctor will recommend if you have high cholesterol that you eat a low cholesterol diet. But latest studies show that it's like over 75% of cholesterol is made in the body. And so eating a low cholesterol diet does nothing other than give you imbalances in your nutrition. So like for years, people were scared of eating the yolks of eggs because they're high cholesterol. And because of that, they had all kinds of other nutritional deficiencies. And so there's no need if you have high cholesterol to cut out cholesterol in your diet. That's just going to cause other issues. So a few things about cholesterol. It's found in every cellular membrane, and it's literally what makes our cells both stiff and flexible at the same time and kind of help protect it from things that shouldn't get inside cells, but also allow things to come out of cells that need to come out of cells. It's found in high circulation in the brain. So it's required for the proper function of serotonin receptors, and studies show that low cholesterol leads to depression, suicide tendencies, and violent behavior. It's also found in high concentrations in breast milk. So if you were to give a baby a low-fat, low cholesterol formula, they would be malnourished. It's a major component of bile. And so without cholesterol, your body cannot make bile, which then means you probably have to have your gallbladder removed. Also, it's necessary for healthy gut lining. A deficiency in cholesterol can lead to leaky gut. When you have leaky gut, it literally means that the lining of your intestines is open and permeable, and food and pathogens and other things can go through that and then get into your blood system. And once it's in your bloodstream, it causes all kinds of issues, especially autoimmune disease. It's a precursor to sex and stress hormones. So without cholesterol, you cannot make testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, or cortisol. It's a precursor to protective corticosteroids. And these are the hormones that help prevent you from getting cancer or heart disease. It's also a precursor for vitamin D. So you can't actually create vitamin D in your body without cholesterol, and you would have to then supplement with it. It's an antioxidant, so it protects the body from free radical damage. So questions about cholesterol?
So like, I know there's different levels that people say are, different science says is healthy and unhealthy. Because like my husband has always had the triglycerides that are high, no matter how thin and athletic, and his mom definitely had them. So are you under the belief that there's like each person can have a different level and it still be healthy depending on their makeup?
Yeah, so in functional lab work, we do still have parameters for healthy cholesterol, but it's very different from traditional. And also it's different from men to women, and then it's different based on women age as well. So like there's layers with functional medicine versus traditional. So if you want, I can look up for a male and tell you like what the healthy levels would be for triglycerides. I'll send that over to you.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure with cholesterol, it's broader than what it is in traditional medicine. Yeah, good question. Also, interestingly enough, with cholesterol in women specifically, lower LDL. No, sorry, not LDL, lower overall total cholesterol makes you way more susceptible to cancer. And so
Mm.
traditional medicine is always like lower it, lower it, lower it, lower it, no matter how low it goes. But the latest science, and at some point traditional medicine will catch up with this, but the latest science shows that the lower it is, the more susceptible you are to cancer. So,
Mm.
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about reading labels. So I like to call these Franken fats, and that's everything here in the little, do not touch symbol here. So hydrogenated fats, partially hydrogenated fats, highly processed vegetable and seed oils, and then trans fats. So these are adulterated fats that are toxic and interfere with the essential roles fatty acids play with a healthy body. The body does not know how to process these fats, and there is a misconception that saturated fat is a trans fat. That's not correct. And then vegetable oils, which we already kind of talked about, canola, corn, soybean, etc., should all be avoided because of the manufacturing process. So like I said before, in that manufacturing process, they do so many things to these oils to make them look pleasing and smell pleasing that it makes it where your body doesn't know what to do. So it's just confused and can't break it down, and then it leads to inflammation. Do you guys like Cool Whip?
Nope.
No.
No.
Okay, good. My mom loves Cool Whip, and so I grew up with Cool Whip on like any dessert and every dessert. And again, my mom is like the fat-free queen. She also joined Weight Watchers the year it opened and still does Weight Watchers. Like, she totally puts blinders onto anything and everything I do, which is so frustrating. But
Mhm.
part of Weight Watchers and, avoiding anything with fat, Cool Whip was allowed, especially the light Cool Whip. So she put that on everything. And Cool Whip used to say on the container, like the front of it, it would say no trans fats. But then when you turn it around and read the list of ingredients, the fourth ingredient was literally hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is a trans fat. And so the reason why they could legally say no trans fats in big letters on the front of it is because US advertising laws say that if it's less than 5 grams per serving, then you can say 0 trans fats. And so they specifically made the serving size 2 tablespoons to keep it to where they could say 0 trans fats on the front. But like, if you think about a slice of pie, if you were to put Cool Whip on it, you want it covering the whole thing, right? And so it's not 2 tablespoons. It's going to be way more than 2 tablespoons. And nobody was eating less than 2 tablespoons. So they were all getting more than the 5 grams of trans fats, and it should have just legally been written on there. So that's one thing. I'm curious, can y'all see? No, you can't see that. Let me stop sharing and then I'm going to reshare. Okay. Can you guys see the Pam spray?
Yes.
Mhm.
So earlier today, I just searched, fat-free spray oil, and this is what came up. And so it says 100% natural, fat-free, and then original canola oil cooking spray. And this is how it's advertised. And it's just so funny to me because like, it's literally a can of oil, but they can put on
How
here.
can it be fat-free if
Yeah.
it's oil?
Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Right. So let me scroll down to over here. Here's the list of ingredients. It's got tons of different types of oils in it too. But the thing is, it's the serving size. So it's 0.25, and you can see 746 servings. So what they're saying is it's a 1 second spray equals 1 serving. And just like if you were using this to make eggs in a pan, you're not using just like, that's it, like I'm spraying and coating the whole pan. So again, because of advertising laws, it's less than 5 grams. They can say that it's 100% fat free.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, now we know what's wrong with society.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, it's mind boggling that this is what our government allows with food advertising.
That's just sad, really.
Well,
Yeah.
with food in general, I mean, so many ingredients are banned in Europe and everywhere else, and here we put it in the boatloads to everything that we feed, especially to kids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and advertising to kids is horrible too. So most countries do not allow any food advertising to kids, and yet that's the number one advertising on cartoons and stuff like that is, you know, bright colored, junky cereal type stuff. So this is the final slide for tonight, but the longer the shelf life, the shorter the health life. So that, like, keep that in mind whenever you're thinking about grocery shopping, meal planning, anything like that. If it's something that is super shelf stable, then it's probably not good for your health. You know, I always think of the Twinkies that supposedly could, you know, survive through an apocalypse because they're filled with stuff that clearly is not healthy for your body.
But once they fry them at the state fair, then they're good.
Right.
Do it once every 20
Then
years.
it became really good. Right there. That's the secret.
Yeah.
So,
I get
Uh,
grossed out by Twinkies.
I know you and I kind of talked about the grapeseed oil. Is that for the same reasons that it's has so many processing steps?
Sorry.
Yeah, that, and then also just it is a polyunsaturated oil because it's a seed oil. So there are some good quality grapeseed oils. I don't think that that one is as heavily processed, but the key is you don't want to heat it up. It needs to be in a dark bottle. You want to have it kept in the refrigerator. Like, you want to make sure you're handling it with all of those polyunsaturated fat
Okay.
requirements. So great for like a salad dressing, but don't cook with it. Yeah. Any other questions? So I do want to point out again in the
I do have one question, but go ahead.
okay, real quick. In the PDF, starting on page 11, there's additional resources. So on page 11, I give some recommendations for supplements if you need help breaking down fatty acids in your body. And if you want specific supplements, talk to me offline and I can hook you up with those. Then on page 12, I've got recommendations for both movies as well as books if you want to do more and learn more about this. The movie Fat Fiction is really good and it's currently on YouTube for free if you want to check that out. Interestingly enough, the program I used to teach, Restart, there was a woman who went through Restart, and this program here is kind of loosely based on it. I just added a lot more information to it. But there was a woman who went through that, was like, this should become a movie. And so she made Fat Fiction after going through a program like this. And that one's, it's based more on keto, the movie is, but still amazing, great information about how we got to where we are now with fat in the society. So page 13 is all about castor oil packs. We'll actually talk more about these next week, but if you're interested and have been intrigued, I have a discount code that I think still works, but Queen of the Thrones, which is the company I recommend and still use for castor oil, they recently went through some changes. So if you try to use the discount code and it doesn't work, please let me know, because I don't know if it's working or not. And then the last thing is one of my favorite apps. This is totally free, but it's the Bobby Approved app. And this just makes it easier when you are grocery shopping. You can download this app and then literally just scan anything with a barcode and it will tell you whether or not it's Bobby approved or not. But also I like that if it's not approved, you can click on it and then it will tell you why it's not approved. So it will like pick up on any of the inflammatory oils and tell you about them as well. So it's a useful tool so that you don't have to spend all day reading every label. And that's it in the additional resources. So Desiree, what question did you have?
When I was seeing my functional medicine doctor, and he said that he did the whole Genova test, and the one thing I remember him saying was that my body doesn't process inflammation right.
Yeah.
What specifically might that mean?
I wonder, check it out and see if it has anything about CRP or HSCRP. Because
Okay,
that's the primary inflammatory markers on blood work anyways, but I think Genova covers that as well. And that would indicate it.
HS or CRP, is that what you
Yeah,
said?
so it's CRP is one of them. HSCRP is like the next the more
Okay,
intense version of it. So I would look at that, and even if you want to send me like a private message through Practice Better on if it's on there, what the levels are, I can give you more information on it based on the levels that you're at. But I
okay,
think
yeah,
just
I'll find it
CRP,
and
it
send
should
it to you.
okay, yeah. For HSCRP, it should be less than 3.
Okay,
Anything above 3 means like extreme inflammation throughout the body.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll look at it. And then I'll let you know. I'll send you a private message and let you know what it says.
Yeah, perfect. Any other questions?
Nope, I don't think so. I think it was very informative.
Good,
Yes, very good. Thank you, Meg.
good. I'm so glad. Hopefully it's not going to add too much stress to, picking out food and eating out. Just know if we can.
Well, the eating out, it's a problem because you don't know what they're putting in. So
Right.
it's, it's frustrating because sometimes you just don't want to cook or you're getting together with people, whatever. And it's just, there's not good places to eat because even the fancy, expensive
Mhm.
restaurants use the crappy ingredients. So
Yeah,
There's a new salad and go by my house that I feel is fairly safe. So sometimes I do use them if I'm having to go to an appointment or something and I just could not cook, then I go to the salad and go and I get a salad.
yeah. Salad and go is good. If you can use your own salad dressing, because they do use bad oils, the cheap oils,
Okay,
salad dressings.
okay, good to know.
But I like salad and go too. There's only one restaurant I know of in Dallas that does everything right, and like they make a point to use the right oils and everything. Ironically, it's run and owned by an FNTP, so somebody who went through the same program as me, but it's called Origin Kitchen, and it is so good. And it's not that expensive, but I would recommend getting a reservation if you ever go there, just because it's the only place that serves truly food that's cooked with the right oils and all of that. A lot of the health people are always there, and so it's always packed.
what about True Foods?
True Foods does,
Lena?
yeah, they do a good job, but they don't use the right oils all the time.
Mhm.
But still, they do a much better job than a lot of places.
Than everybody else, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, and I'm
Thanks,
just,
guys. I'm gonna get going.
bye,
Have a
Terry.
good night.
Bye.
Thank you. I'm gonna get going too. I'm starting to not feel very good again.
Oh, no, okay,
It happens all the time, so I'm used to it.
I know.
All right, thank you, Meg. I appreciate it.
Thanks, have a good night.
You too.